Hello, people of YouTube. It's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news for the 31st of May, 2025. We're back. Last week, John was away and I was ill, so we have two newsletters to cover this week. And I hope you all enjoyed that. My most recent video, all about the Apache. Today, we were covering the data link, again with John Bloor. He was very, very helpful in demonstrating how that interesting piece of kit works. I'll say at the beginning, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and the channel. And you also have the option of further supporting the channel by joining Deepak's ground crew by clicking the join button below. You gain access to a Discord server where we all hang out, and there are various other benefits coming. At some stage soon you'll be able to get advertising-free versions of all these videos, and we're also going to do some flights together. Welcome to the stream, Tea Kettle Barbecue. Welcome Colin Kelly. Welcome Leo Netzel. Welcome everybody. Welcome aboard. And also welcome John Bloor.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Not too shabby. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages.
I know. It's like we, you know, an age has happened since we last saw each other. It definitely wasn't about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Flying around Apaches. We definitely didn't do that. No.
I wasn't even flying the Apache. I was doing my usual and being lazy and having George fly it for me.
That's true.
I'm much happier being heads down and fiddling with the avionics. He can fly the helicopter. He's good at it.
Yeah, he does the job all right. He does good fun.
Yeah. Nice. So yes, we have two Eagle Dynamics newsletters because we missed doing the news last week. So let's jump into that just now and see what we have from the first of the two. We have the newsletter from the 23rd of May, and the big news item here is the Quick Action Generator. I wonder if you've had an opportunity to play around with this yet, John.
Very briefly, I'll have to admit, I've not been doing a lot of DCS over the last couple of weeks. I just had other stuff on. But what I did do is I did quick fire it up and have a little play around just to see what it can do. It's actually, for something that's just, just being introduced, it's actually pretty cool. You can kind of fiddle around with some stuff. It looks like there's some sort of, not templates, but like, you can set things up pretty quickly. It's a great piece of kit, and I think this is definitely a better option than I only used the fast mission feature in the past a few times. It's usually when I've been testing something out, trying to get something to work or not work, or whether it's hardware or software or something. So that the old create fast mission feature,
which
is kind of mostly used for that.
We should note is now removed. This replaces.
Yes.
I think the last time I remember using that feature was when the A10 came out. Like the original version of the A10. So, because it was very good. When the A10 came out, they added JTAGs to the kind of fast mission generator or whatever it was called before, and I found that very good because I could just take a random part of the map and say, right, give me a JTAG, give me some targets, and I want to do some interaction with that and blow some stuff up.
The only thing with the old one that used to happen quite often, and it used to make me laugh, is especially if you were spawning at like an airfield, you'd suddenly get like an air raid literally within like the time your like INS is aligned. You got like enemy jets flying across. I don't know if it was a bug with mine, but I'd be like, bloody hell, they got here quick every time. So this is definitely an upgrade.
Hard mode. I've not tried this yet, but I do intend to give it a go. But we can read over what they say in the newsletter about it. But before I do, welcome to the stream, Whoopaz, Mark S, Pink Floyd, Sean I am 81. I like the quick action generator, he says. Much trucks died by the day I used it. Like I say, I used to just use it in the A10. And after the A10, I think I kind of forgot it existed for a long, long time. But it was good. Like, back in the day, in the A10, you just click a couple of buttons and then you could go and talk to a JTAG and smite some things. It was good. So, one of the main barriers for new DCS pilots is creating gameplay content. Although the mission editor is very powerful, it can be complex and time-consuming to learn. To mitigate this, the QAG offers, I know Americans love to say their acronyms, so I'm going to go with it. QAG offers a convenient and quick way to generate simple missions based on a few simple selections. It allows players to experiment with all DCS aircraft across all eras and maps over a variety of mission types. So, key features: rapid and simple content generation compared to the mission editor, capability to construct missions based on all your DCS aircraft and maps with a high degree of mission customization, supports World War II era to the modern day. You can scale missions from just a couple of aircraft to multiple fights and ground force groups. Aircraft, ground units, and ships can be sorted into groups based on their historical era. Manually select enemy and allied aircraft and set them as targets and supporting flights. Option to modify and select aircraft loadouts. Ability to change and select aircraft liveries. User interface built on the F10 map to facilitate unit placement. Optimized AI behavior for all difficulty levels. Adjust the location and orientation of forces on the QUAG map. Option to add and remove air, land, and sea targets. You can have up to 4 aircraft in a flight, set a distance, altitude, and loadout. Add escort flights for appropriate missions. Add air defenses to protect targets. You can add or remove wingmen and set their skill level. And on first launch, the generator loads the last map and aircraft used. Formations, assignments for flights of up to 4 units, both allied and enemy. The QUAG adds a new capability for DCS that is aimed at both new DCS players to generate unlimited content, but also provide a tool for veteran players to test new tactics, try out new sensors and weapons, and practice before entering a match. We look forward to your valuable feedback.
Yeah, I think the what it said at the end there about, like, if you've been playing for a while, it's a good place to test things out and fiddle around with things. That's exactly how I used to use the old one. It was just something you could quickly fire up and just test something. And like you said, I the little bit I've played around with it, it was quite nice because you could set up groups of things quite easily. I think especially things like air defenses and stuff. I literally played around with it for about 20 minutes. But this is always the thing I think you need to keep in mind with some of these tools is that a lot of the people who are going to be we've obviously been doing sort of DCS and that sort of stuff for a while, flight sims, and a lot of people probably in our chats and in comment and stuff have been doing it for a while. But it's always easy to forget there's people who are just getting into this stuff, and these sorts of tools are like a really good way.
Noobs, John?
Noobs, I know those dirty noobs. But yeah, it's easy to forget about those people. At the end of the day, if you look at it from like not a business sense, but if you look at it from a perspective of ED, you always want to have an influx of new players and make sure you've got stuff which makes things as what's the word?
It benefits all of us, in fact.
Yeah.
It's nice.
New blood helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to have more people. H Lightsphere, can we talk about the overheating processor issues a few people, including myself, have had with the last update? Overheating. Software cannot make your CPU overheat. I have to state in the first instance, if your CPU is overheating, you have a hardware problem with your setup.
I do know, and it's in the latest hotfix, that there was a something causing CPU ramps in the main menu, weirdly enough.
Okay.
And I'd seen a couple people complaining about it, that basically, the latest hotfix is supposed to have fixed it. Apparently it was for some people it was really bad. Like they'd literally fire the game up and it would just screech to a halt. So,
well, see, funnily enough, that bug then will have been during the week when I was ill. So I probably completely missed this because I just wasn't playing, and then I came back today, and today the hotfix was already out. So I guess I just didn't know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're going to be covering the hotfix in just a moment.
Sure.
But before we do, we have the updating question, which may well be the one. It may well be the one. Yeah, for real, deep. Says Lightsphere. Yes. Of course, if a piece of software is causing your CPU to just run in circles, then yes, it will get a bit toasty. But if you actually overheat and your machine hangs, that's hardware. You need a better cooling solution. So, in any way, Stuart McLean, I'm late. Well, don't worry, it's not class. You're not going to get called out.
Like you just did.
Well, he kind of self-called out. I'm just giving him a shout out. You're welcome at any time, whether you're watching it live or after the fact. So there was a big update, and of course the main thing was the QUAG. But core stuff, they talk about improving mission loading and performance in both 2D and VR. Several visual issues have been addressed. DLSS has been updated to version 310.2.1.0.
Hmm.
Voice chat client-server architecture was improved. Aircraft AI behavior got updated for tankers to be able to fly at lower speeds, and tweaks for cases where formation losing leader or wingman. JTAC messages now include a wider range of weapons, and they direct us to read the Changelog.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and we got
Yeah.
some updates to the DTC, which is kind of nice. I'm thinking it's mostly bug fixes, but we will take a look at the changelog in a moment.
Yeah.
We've got there's a FA18C SA and Auto EW page options were corrected. TWS HOTAS azimuth selection quirk's been fixed. Are there any of these?
That just looks like the patch notes.
Exactly. I'm
in
just reading
sentence
over
form.
this to see if there's anything big
Yeah.
to call out, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Don't
think it's
think
pretty
so.
much that. One thing apparently with this DLSS update, not only is there an update to the DLSS and it functions a lot better, apparently, I was looking in the forums. Apparently, you can go into an auto exec and you can force the latest version of DLSS to
I
run
heard
because there's
about
different
this.
modes.
Yeah.
I think it's like mode J and like mode K or whatever. Apparently, for some people, you can force it to run a different mode, and for some people, it's literally got rid of like 95% of the ghosting. I've already noticed two things when we were flying earlier. I noticed that the screens were a lot clearer than before. They may even be more clearer if I use this different mode. But the other thing was I was noticing that, granted, it was just the two of us testing that stuff, but like my frame rate was like really good. So I myself, I use DLSS. The main reason is I don't mind a bit of that fuzziness and that blaring, mostly because I tend to do a lot more rotary, so I'm down low, and even a slight couple bits of frame skipping. If you're flying 30 feet off the ground, that could be slamming
Fatal.
into a tree. Yeah, exactly. So it's not so much of an issue when you're 20,000 feet. So I try and maximize. I want it to look good, but when I fly DCS, I always try to maximize as much as I can to keep it nice and smooth. I also aim for a steady frame rate above trying to get like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like I'll rather have it steadily at 60 rather than I could potentially get a higher frame rate, but it fluctuates and
Spiking
stuff.
up and
So,
down. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm the same, and I think that's a very good point. Is that a kind of steady frame rate is very important.
Yeah.
I'm flying in VR, so unfortunately for me, any kind of smudging or smearing is very, very apparent very quickly. So I don't use these, but I think it's I've last evaluated these at the time that they came out, which was probably almost 2 years ago now. So
Yeah.
I need to actually sit down and try them all again and see what they do for me now, because
toggle
probably
it,
they run better now.
One of the modes, and I don't know if this is the mode, and actually there's someone in chat right now who probably would know a lot. Oz Deadmeat is very knowledgeable about this stuff. Hi to Oz, by the way. And Venom is our boy Venom.
Is that fella?
It's that fella. But basically, one of the DLSS modes is for some people. Again, not only is it massive performance improvements, but I think one of them for some people with their VR headsets, they get a massive improvement. So it could be worth having a look, not only into DLSS but the new mode. I don't think it's particularly difficult hacking. I think you just go into it's like text editor stuff, and you just force it to run a specific mode. But
nice.
These are all little incremental improvements. I don't know if you've noticed this, and we will get to this later on, but they're starting to talk a little bit more about Vulkan. I've noticed. They've been quite tight-lipped to this up until recently, and I always say when they start talking about it, ED tend to be there's something on cooking. So
nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, Osprey, Oz Deadmeat, Venom. Hello. Oz Deadmeat says, I use it in DLSS in VR. The new K setting is a complete game changer. No ghosting at all. I think it might have been yourself a couple of weeks ago, Oz Deadmeat, that told me to try that. So I think I do need to get on that now and give it a go. Yeah, my frame rate in 2D with John today, because I was flying in 2D, was amazing. But then my frame rate in 2D has always been kind of amazing. It's just VR that chomps through the frames.
Yeah, it's a chunky boy. Does take up the frames.
Indeed. And then, we've got some additions to the third-party modules. The Jeffrey received radar logic improvements, refreshed MFCD HPT data, and progress on the new 2's expand mode. Yeah, Cold War Germany got a bunch of stuff. Improved power lines, taxiways, refined icon placement, all kinds of cool stuff. So, nice. Moving on, the last item in the previous week's newsletter is the 1v1 gun-only showdown with Virpil controls. The 1v1 BFM Cup is hosted... Wait a minute. BFM. Yeah, that's right. Basic fighter maneuvers. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of BVR.
Yeah.
For a moment there, I was going to say, there it says guns, and then there it's saying Beyond Visual, but no, it's BFM. This 1v1 BFM Cup is hosted by Virpil Controls, along with support from the DCS dogfighters and the virtual pilot communities. This is your chance to prove your aerial combat mastery in intense 1v1 guns-only dogfights. Nice.
We need Craig Charles from Robot Wars to be doing this. This is your chance to prove your aerial combat. Activate Robot Wars. Yeah,
I used to really enjoy that.
Oh, Robot Wars is great. Yeah, it was awesome. If you did watch UK Robot Wars, you missed out. It was awesome. What's the one that won everything? Was it Cyclone or something? It was just one that just
was that the one that
dominated.
spun? It used to be ones that spin that would always win. Yeah. I think they with having him as the commentator, they missed out on having scutters actually fighting wars.
Yeah, or just pottering around at the edge watching what was going on. That would have been awesome, wouldn't it?
That would have been really good.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream channel, right? Paul Cope, Tog, hey. Ozdead Meat. I've seen some MIP issues with graphics, especially wire fences with the case setting, but I have Scottish heritage, so it just looks like a black and white tartan. Makes me think of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
They've gone to
plaid. Yeah,
plaid. Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, anyway, so yeah, we've got this thing from Virpil Controls. If you want more details, go to virpil-servers.com. You need to create an account and connect your Discord, and then you can sign up for the tournament. They haven't announced when the tournament's actually happening. That will happen sometime after registration. But yeah, you can win a bunch of stuff. Flanker grip, €300, and a DCS module of your choice for the champion. So it's not a small thing. Some good prizes there. And once again, Virpil supporting the community, which is nice to see. I am a bit of a Virpil fanboy. My entire hardware setup is Virpil. I've got a Virpil stick, which currently I have a Thrustmaster Hornet grip on, simply because it's the closest to the Harrier. Which is nice. But then also Virpil throttle, Virpil pedals.
Yeah, they are very good Virpil. I'm pretty much what do you call it, Thrustmaster Warthog all around. But if it failed, I'd probably get a Virpil. It's one of those things, and if it works, you don't need to break. Yeah, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, kind of thing. So, but no, it's Virpil stuff is really good gear. I've got lots of people lots of really close mates who swear by it. So, yeah, great stuff they create.
Yeah, it's nice. Cool. Alrighty. So now moving on to this week's newsletter. This is the one that came out yesterday, 30th of May. And we have the DCS Hotfix, which I'm sure people who were having overheating CPUs were very happy to receive. Quick fixes based on your feedback. This hotfix aims to resolve several issues that came to light following the latest DCS update. Also, we've included a couple of fixes for issues found earlier, but we could squeeze into this hotfix with everything else. We've written a quick fix for the high CPU load that occurs on the main menu, and we observed and reported by the community after the last update. We've also included a quick action generator change, such as random skill levels to the AI, and a fix for missions not regenerating even when the regenerate button is pressed. Regenerate button, you had one job.
Yeah.
We solved a couple of more long-standing issues and added them to this update. Problems with track replays not saving properly, and an infantry disembarkment issue when a mission is running on a dedicated server. Finally, issues with the multiplayer scoreboard not updating properly have also been resolved. So, very, very nice. Going to take a little look at the changelog after this. But first, we have the F4U-1D Corsair. All the letters and numbers.
Yeah.
And this is Magnitude 3 who are working on this. Am I right in saying Magnitude 3 are the MiG-21 boys? MiG-21 and Christian Eagle? Or am I talking
I
complete
don't
nonsense?
know. Let me just check because I can
Yeah.
check the DCS forums and it says I can't remember because they all named similar. Is you got something Miltech 5, Magnitude 3, you know, Octopus G. Who's who? Hang on, Magnitude 3. Yeah, they did the Christian Eagle and the MiG-21. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
excellent.
them.
Their website is incredibly slow. But yes,
Oh,
here you go.
yeah,
For me, at least, it's incredibly slow.
yeah.
I did mention recently that I was trying the MiG-21 again because people were like, "Oh, it's not been updated in ages. It's probably terrible." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's not." So
Yeah.
I fired it up like 2 weeks ago, and it looks great. Like they have. It wasn't that long ago they updated the exteriors and so on, and the cockpit looks good. The audio is good. Yeah, try the MiG-21. It's really nice. I like that on Magnitude 3's website, the MiG-21 box still says by Leatherneck Simulations, which is their old name. And they were called something else before that, because there was a Hungarian guy. This is me really dredging my memories. It was a Hungarian guy who originally started the development of the MiG-21, and then he kind of there was some kind of deal with like pre-orders, and then he disappeared, and the guys left,
Ooh.
never got the pre-order money, and then they became Leatherneck. And then eventually Leatherneck split, and part of Leatherneck became Heatblur, and the other part
Wow.
became Magnitude 3. So, like, some of the guys from Heatblur were originally working on the MiG-21.
That's really
with
cool.
this Hungarian guy. This is me, like, if there's any inaccuracies, chat, tell me. This is me dredging the depths of my memory.
Just going into the deep DCS lore, you know, the old texts.
Yeah,
Dusting them
it was
off like
basically
a big tome.
the developer was originally just like the name of this Hungarian guy. Then it became Leatherneck. Then it became Magnitude 3 and Heatblur detached.
I could just see you looking at. I could just see you looking at a ring, going, "One third party to rule the ball." It's an ancient tongue of Mordor.
just like cutting the MiG-21 in half and counting the rings to figure out how old it is and where it came from.
This was coded in an ancient language. What is it? C++.
The ancients.
The ancient.
Oh dear. Channel writes, I'm really enjoying the DCS VR experience on the MetaQuest. Nice. Pedrosura, in VR run, 120 Hz locked in game at 60 frames per second. No fovulated. Amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm pretty sure if I tweaked my settings, because I've got a decent PC, if I tweaked my settings, I could probably make it run really good in VR. I just haven't bothered.
Yeah, just haven't. Eventually, I literally did a tune up not long ago. I had I've mentioned it on stream. I'm not sure. There's the guys that run the Panther Den, and one of the admins, a guy called Heartbreaker. He's a really good dude. I was having some problems on their Cola map. It was really struggling. And I thought it was the Cola map. He was like, "Are you sure?" And he looked at my settings. He was like, "This isn't adding up." Turns out my BIOS had like restricted my RAM. It turns out my cores weren't all running properly. And then he said he went through a bunch of settings. We redid a bunch of bits and pieces. And then all of a sudden, he's like, try this. And then my DCS was like night and day. Like literally, like I was like, oh my God, not only does it look better, but it also runs better, if that's possible. So yeah, it's definitely worth kind of having a bit of a tweak and figuring out what works best. And it's not always, it's weird that it's not always like just turning everything down. In fact, certain things, and you might know this, actually, if you turn the graphics down, it runs worse because it's like either loading it onto the CPU rather than the GPU and vice versa.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's about like running things.
The bottleneck is always somewhere.
Exactly.
Mark S, well done. Betzel was the Hungarian guy. He was one of the original guys working on the MiG-21. And I don't want to speculate too much on what went on there, but there was some kind of. I remember Leatherneck being like, "Yeah, we're a new developer. We're going to continue and finish the MiG-21. No, we don't have your pre-order money. No, we can't really tell you much about that."
Christ, that's bad, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. The pre-order money just disappeared with this guy. is what I figure, and he was never heard from again. Because I even at one stage I brought up his user on like the ED forums, and like he never posted again.
Yeah. Amazing.
Ozdead Meat, I have that exact same Star Wars sign D-Pack. Why isn't it turned on? I think it has batteries in it. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? We're all about user interaction and
Yeah,
whatnot, I'm going to go and turn on the sign if the batteries are in it. That is.
yeah, go for it. And yes, Oz, yeah, I use a Warthog stick. So the only adjustment I've got to mine is the base. I've got a base on a Monster Tech center mount, which kind of helps a little bit of control. But one of the things you can do is there's a upgrade for the Warthog grip base, which I think it's called the Green Spring upgrade.
Mm.
There's a chap online, and what you can do is you can just basically get a spring. I think it's got a couple less winds, so it doesn't snap back to center as much. It's not a cam system. It's an old school, it's well made. I tell you what, yeah, Thrustmaster stuff I've got has all lasted. I've had it forever and it's lasted great. I've got no issues with any of it at all. But yeah, I use the same grip as you, Deep, the F18 grip. I love that grip. It's like my favorite.
So solid. It's so good.
It's so comfortable. Like I like the F18, F16 one, but the F18 one is just everything feels right for me. Everything is where it seems to be. I really like what I use. Do you know there's that little it's like a little, not a slider, but you can push it up, push it down, and then push it in.
That's not even real. That's not on the real one.
Yeah. So what I use that for is that's my zoom in, zoom out, and then I use the middle push in for my snap views. So when I usually have that, so
that's my comms menu. Because a little while ago they added controls for like moving up, moving down, and selecting in the comms menu. So I mapped it all to that, which is really good for like tanking and stuff.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I tell you what, that's the one thing I'd say is the very least the grips. The Thrustmaster grips are great, but the actual base, yeah, I don't know, I can't remember what the chap is. You can Google it, and he's like a third party. Yeah, he does this green spring update. So if you're having trouble when you're feeling it's a little bit stiff, then try the green spring upgrade for the Warthog base. The other thing I did is I upgraded my Warthog throttle. It has this weird like nipple. I'm not being weird.
Oh,
I'm just telling you
what you're talking
is.
about. The TDC is, and it's not even what the Relay 10 has. So I don't know why they decided to do that.
It's weird. It's like this weird nipple thing, and it's really sensitive. I'm saying nipple and sensitive in the same word, but in the same sentence. But yeah, basically, you can get it, and you can do it with like literally a screwdriver. It's all just a Molex clip that pops in and pops out. You can replace it with a like a PlayStation style analog stick. So that's what I did, and
which funnily is actually a lot closer to what the real one looks like.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so much better. It's honestly, if anyone's got a Warthog throttle, get that. It's like 20 quid. You can do it yourself. It's literally all you need is a screwdriver, and there's no soldering.
Meat says he did it.
Yeah, there you go.
Tea Kettle Barbecue, have you seen the stick mod to swap the trim hat and the castle switch? I have, and I'm so tempted to do it, but I know I would screw up my grip because I'm not that good with a Dremel. I would like. I'm fine with like soldering and doing wiring and things like that, but when it comes to like the mounting, I know I would screw it up and it wouldn't be as good, and I would I would make a hash of it.
Have you got any mates that are like handy with that, like a bit of a dab hand? Because you could buy a spare one, see if you get a second hand one, and just be like, if it goes to the pot, it goes to the pot.
Yeah, because it would be so nice. Because that is, for people who are not aware, the only difference between the Hornet stick and the Harrier stick in the real world is that the sensor select switch hat and the trim hats are swapped. They're inverse from where they are in the Hornet on the Harrier. And that would be so nice. And the thing is, it kind of makes sense because the Hornet is fly-by-wire, so the trim hat becomes less important. And in the Harrier, you want your thumb to fall on the trim hat because you are actually trimming that plane. Oh, Simon, hello, just back from a week in Fife. What is new? Interesting. Well, what is new is we're talking about the F4U. We never even got started. We started talking about the F4U-1D Corsair, and we got distracted by the fact that it's Magnitude 3, who we've not heard that much development from recently. Like the last thing they made was the Christian Eagle, which, enough said. So they've dedicated immense effort to bring the iconic World War II fighter to DCS. It played a pivotal role in the Pacific Theatre of Operations, and it became a symbol of aerial prowess, thanks to its speed, climb rate, and toughness. It even had a smaller role in the European Theatre of Operations. Developing this, so this is since 2017, they're saying that Magnitude 3 have been working on this. Developing this module has proven more challenging than the Magnitude team anticipated, The Corsair's unusual design was revolutionary for its time, and its flight dynamics are complex. The combination of a powerful engine and huge propeller, its distinctive gull wings, large flaps, and its robust landing gear that also acted as an air brake created a challenge in airflow dynamics and handling characteristics. But we
Mm.
solved it. While perfection is an elusive goal, we do not claim our flight model to be flawless. We acknowledge that there is always room for further refinement and improvements. However, the current FM has been thoroughly validated and closely mirrors the real aircraft's behavior, surpassing the realism of any previous Corsair FM developed for flight simulators. That's from Magnitude 3. So currently we've got a few remaining items on our development list for the module. For example, the implementation of the bat bomb, for which the initial implementation is complete. Further work will ensure its seamless integration in the DCS environment. So we're getting a high-quality external 3D model, fully clickable cockpit with 6 degrees of freedom and the latest visual effects, flight dynamics based off of official reports, CFD research, and pilot feedback, engine and propeller control systems, fuel system and optional external tanks, electrical system, hydraulic and pneumatic, radio navigation systems, structure-based damage model, carrier-capable aircraft, and a manual in the King's own English.
Yeah, better be. None of that American spelling. It better be in Queen's English or now King's English.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, early access weapons. We're getting 6 50 cal M2 Browning machine guns, 8 5-inch high-velocity aircraft rockets, and external fuel tanks and bombs up to 4,000 pounds or 1,800 kilograms for those of you who use sensible numbers.
Yeah.
To enhance the Corsair experience, Magnitude 3 will include an Essex-class aircraft carrier. This is actually, I'm not really interested in the Corsair. The fact that they're developing a whole aircraft carrier for it, now I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now I'm interested.
Yeah.
This ship class was pivotal. It was a pivotal PTO component of US naval power, and it was one of the most numerous capital ship classes of the 20th century. Of the 24 Essex-class carriers built, none were lost to enemy action, although several sustained significant battle damage. These carriers were veritable fortresses at sea that could carry approximately 90 aircraft in their armoured hull and decks. It was also equipped with numerous weapons. In our version of the Essex, you will get 4 127mm single cannons, 4 127mm twin cannons, 17 40mm Bofors, 20 20mm twin Oerlikon, and 50 20mm single Oerlikon. That is ridiculous. Can you imagine attacking this thing at night and seeing all of that coming out of it? That'd be insane.
It's like a laser show. Yeah. No, it's you know what? I'm glad to see. I'm not as much into the World War II stuff, if I'm honest. And it's not because there's anything wrong with it. I think if people enjoy it, it's great. I just I remember I used to play a game called European Air War by Microprose, and I played that to death. I played so many hours of that, like so much of it. And I've still got like sounds from that game, like even the theme tune, like burnt into my brain. But I think because of that, it's a bit like, do you only hear like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana enough times? Eventually, you're like, I don't need to hear it again. And I feel a little bit like that World War II stuff. I think the other thing, a little bit with World War II, which kind of makes it a little bit not as fun. So for ground pounding stuff, you have to literally get like a direct hit with a bomb, take something out. Like you can't even get like within a couple feet. And I think until there's a better fragmentation / overpressure / all that kind of stuff system, it's hard enough trying to do bombs old school, and kind of dive bomb and do that in World War II stuff. The idea of it, you've got to put a 500-pound or even 1,000-pound bomb literally on the hatch of a Tiger tank or a Panther 3 or Panzer 3, sorry. Yeah, good luck. So I think there's little things I think that hold it back a little bit. And I think probably as well with, and I think DCS stuff's amazing. And I think it's probably in many ways simulated a lot better. But I think they're up against hard, what do you call it? Hard competition with things like IL-2 and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't know how it works now, but for a while there was a mod that we used to use in VAF.
Yeah.
Which effectively amplified ground unit damage when it was bombs in an attempt to overcome this. And it actually worked. And the thing is, the approach was pretty was pretty basic. I think it was literally just amplifying the damage, so it wasn't
Yeah.
doing anything clever. But
No.
that worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the way people do it. And what I'll just say is what I'm really glad to see with this is I haven't seen, at least recently, there's a couple games that have been coming out, but not flight sims. But it's nice to see some Pacific theatre stuff. I think this could be really interesting.
Specifically, which one? Anyway.
All right, Dad. All right, Dad. You got a thermostat to go and turn down with your dad jokes.
That was a good one, I thought.
I know. Do you say espresso as well? Are you one of those people?
You know what? Yes, guilty. I love to say that.
Do you know what I love to do?
I'll have an espresso and make it fast.
Make it fast, yeah. The other thing I love doing, and I love triggering people, is I don't say F-16 Viper, I say F-16 Fighting Falcon, and you just watch people go, "Ah!" It's amazing. I'm like, no. Give me your pain.
That's pretty good. Like you're like Cartman licking people's tears.
Yeah, yes.
So salty.
So salty, sustains me.
Ozdead meet. So did they name the Essex after the place in England because both are full of seamen? Anyway, moving on. Magnitude 3 will also introduce 8 Imperial Japanese ground units that include trucks, anti-aircraft artillery, and tanks. These will be a fantastic addition to the upcoming free Mariana Islands World War II map. Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't gotten the World War II version of the map yet. The AI Corsair Essex-class aircraft carrier and Imperial Japanese ground units will be available for all DCS players to ensure single-player and multiplayer capability. This is really, really nice. I'm very, very happy they're doing that.
Yeah.
So as we near this significant milestone, we wish to convey our deepest appreciation for your remarkable support and endearing patience throughout these dedicated years. This project, without question, represents the longest and most demanding endeavour we have pursued within the DCS environment, says Magnitude 3. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh yeah. We all know what's the real Viper. Well, yeah, of course we're talking about Battlestar Galactica. And Lightsphere calls it the Falcon. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Then we had unfortunately a video that I've not had a chance to watch yet, but you were telling me, John, this was good. Wags talking to Pimax, which is cool. I really like the look of the new Pimax headsets. I need to get my hands on one at some stage.
It's weird actually because I think it's more. They do talk about both. They talk about what's quite cool about this video is it's like a third of it is them talking about like Pimax itself, a third of it is Wags talking about DCS and how long he's been doing it, and then they kind of meet in the middle and talk about how VR and all that kind of stuff is kind of being applied to DCS. And I'll let everyone watch it, but I'll just give real quick cliff notes. It's actually a great video. I think it's a really good showcase for me to why I think, and I say this because it sounds bad saying this, there's not an alternative to Wags. I don't mean it like, well, if we had an alternative, we could just get rid of him. We could leave him out to pasture. But every company needs a face, right? We all know the Holy Gaben of Valve,
who doesn't even talk very often, but yes.
No, but everyone knows Holy Gaben. If you want to know who we're talking about Gabe Newell, by the way. But yeah, everyone has that thing, and I think you need a human face to these things, and I think I've said this from day one. Wags is a fantastic front face for DCS, and I know he has joked around about like how his videos are like. He's like, oh, they're not very good. I know, I'm not doing this and not doing that.
I like his videos.
Yeah. Well, we were literally talking about this earlier on. Where like there's a quality to like something which is quite, what's the word for it?
Well, like underplayed.
Oh God. Yeah, like underplayed, like quite candid, and
yes,
like there are you can see the little nuts and bolts a little bit, and a little bit rough around the edges, and there's something to it. And I think I actually think his videos are always good. I don't think they're actually bad quality at all.
No.
But I think I do
like
mine. Yeah, yeah. Never mind. But better than everything I do. But I think yeah, he's a really really good representation, and I think these kinds of interviews and these kinds of things, I would say he comes across probably more naturally than he probably thinks he does.
Mm.
And I think actually he's got quite good conversational skills. So this videos are really good. They kind of go back and forth and they chat about stuff, and he talks
If you
about
want
like how
to,
he got into it.
like, there were a couple just to call out a couple of the things that I
Mm,
enjoyed with Wag's videos in the past. Of course, there was the period where he was going, "Oh, that a blah blah blah. Why is that there?" You know, when he was
yeah,
calling out modules that were coming soon by including them
yeah,
in his videos. And then the other one
yeah,
was he did a video about the Apache's survivability equipment.
yeah,
And it has a really nice intro where he does the well, you know, you know,
yeah. You're
that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's that
Uh,
intro, isn't it? What's it from, is it God, what's the song? But yeah, he does the little intro and the missile, like, freezes, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
while Pink Floyd plays in the background.
That's exactly it. But no, yeah, no, he's got bits and pieces. I think also, like, he's not, and someone raised this in chat and said it's a good thing, like, all Ian said, he doesn't wanna deal with the hate. Like,
Mm,
there is a bit of negativity around DCS, if anyone hasn't noticed. And I think it's really easy to assume that these people aren't human beings, and you kind of can just get angry, and you kind of take again, being the face of something like this, you are the face that not only people like, but it's also the face of people they don't like if there's
mm,
something angry about something.
yeah.
So I think he's a little bit hands off in that respect. But yeah, actually, I think he does a great job, and I think he, generally speaking, it's probably a case of like 95% of people are like, you hear that, hey everyone, it's Wags here, and you're like, it's a good time.
Yeah.
We got some new stuff, got some new. That's what it is. It's a Pavlov's dog's bell, isn't it? Of something new. We're getting something new. It's going to be a new
Yes.
missile, or a new radar mode. I was like, so it's that, and then I think 95% of people are like, awesome, great. And then, there's the 5% of people who are shitheads. And sadly, because we're human beings, we're negatively biased. You know, if you have 100 nice comments but one negative, you're gonna pick up on that sort of
Mm,
stuff. So, but no,
well,
I think it's a really good video. I'd recommend people watch it. It's not it doesn't just go on about VR. Even if I don't use VR. It's really interesting. He talks about how they recognized early on that VR was like a huge deal, especially for flight sims. And it's really good. And it actually, if you think about it, VR lends itself well to simulators because you're sat down in a cockpit and you're sat down in real life. You know, VR doesn't probably work very well, probably for some like action game where some characters jumping around. You probably get that weird motion sickness and stuff. But if you think about when you're in a jet, you're kind of sat there, aren't you? You're not
yeah.
moving. You know, so it translates very well.
Nice. So yeah,
Yeah.
Pimax and Eagle Dynamics senior producer Matt Wagner discusses how virtual reality is reshaping
Mm.
flight simulation, what goes into bringing DCS aircraft to life in VR, and their thoughts on the history, current state, and future of VR in DCS. So I'll be watching this one later.
Mm.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Lightsphere Wags should have a bell next to him.
I think we were talking about Pavlov's bell, the Pavlov's dog thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then we've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
DCS for Disabilities community highlight. Among the many squadrons that fill the DCS virtual skies, few are as remarkable as DCS for Disabilities. This volunteer run group began with a single wish to make the cockpit feel welcoming to aviators whose bodies ask a little more patience from them. Their Discord has become a place where veterans with chronic pain, pilots who can fly only short stints, and newcomers who need adapted controls, trade tips, swap mission files, and share laughs. Today, we want to share one of their brightest stories. Large call sign Yoda is a Swiss law student with severely restricted upper body movement. For months, he relied on a friend to act as his co pilot and wear a head tracker while he managed radios, weapons, and checklists. But the dream of looking around his cockpit never faded. When VR proved what did I say there? When VR proved impractical, the group's search led to Tobii eye tracking. Ah,
Mm.
that's smart. That's really
Yeah.
clever. With it, Yoda's gaze now translated into fluid head motion, freeing him to scan for bandits and lean into the turn as any other virtual fighter pilot. DCS for Disabilities is gathering footage of Yoda's setup for a forthcoming YouTube series to inspire and spread awareness about accessibility in DCS. What began as a handful of determined flyers is fast becoming a beacon for accessible simulation. That's nice. I like that.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely. I think we've actually had a representative from these guys in the chat once or twice before as well. and
That's
I've
cool.
seen them commenting on my videos in the past as well. So yeah,
Mm.
big shout out to these guys. This is a really great project, and go check out their Discord.
It's really cool to see stuff like this because it's kind of it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like a great example of like Deus Ex Machina, really, isn't it? Like it's that whole human spirit prevails kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and it's a genuine, like a really cool thing where like, oh, like how cool is that? That like Tobii Eye Tracker allowed someone who can't move their upper body to suddenly be able to use have really fluid eye, head tracking movement.
Yeah.
Like that's just really cool. Like I don't know how anyone can't like hear that kind of stuff and be like, "That's pretty awesome," you know. And I think it's funny to say this as well. I think again, flight sim stuff is like probably really geared towards someone if you've got a severe physical disability or things that restrict you. Again, I think with something like DCS, I think because like if you have like a fast paced action game like something like I don't know Doom the Dark Ages, which by the way looks awesome.
Uh,
um but that's the kind of game where you need lightning fast reflexes and you need to be able to like manage everything really clearly, and you have to be able to move the mouse super fast and all that sort of stuff. Whereas something like DCS, you can kind of you have moments you have to quickly act in a way, if you get a SA-15 shoot at you or something, but you've got a bit of time to plan, haven't you? And you can kind of take your time, and it's a bit more like, even if you're getting in a BVR fight or something, you can kind of like do a little bit of planning, isn't it? It's a bit of positioning, and it's about figuring out where you need to be in the air and where you are and where the enemy is and how they're going to maneuver and all that. So I think it kind of caters a little bit more to people with disabilities and physical impairments and stuff. So seeing stuff like this, I just think this is really cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
really, really
glad
cool.
that the ED are calling this out as well. Very
Mm,
worthy.
yeah.
RFM, welcome to the stream. Good to have you aboard.
Mm,
Yeah, and then we have the changelog. We did have a couple of patches. We have the one from the 21st of May, 2.9.16. That's when we got the quick action generator, or the QAG. Anything else in particular that we should call out from this one? There's a bunch of fixes for DTC,
mm.
which is nice.
Just
Uh,
looking through. I can't remember if there's
yeah,
anything.
mostly fixies. We've got lots and lots of fixies.
Mm,
But I don't know if there's anything massively to call out. The Chinook got new liveries, and you can now see the collective position in the controls indicator. That's kind of cool.
mm.
Heatblur's F4E Phantom 2 got a new and improved probe icing model without visual effects yet, and a bunch of fixies.
I'm just looking at F4. That's quite cool here. You got some more new sounds for the RWR handoff
Yeah, yeah, and
database.
they've
That's always cool.
updated the database, so that's really cool. The RWR in the F4 is kind of the best implementation of that we've seen in the sim so far, and I know that
Mm.
Heatblur are feeding information back to ED to allow them to improve the overall simulation of the RWR in the sim
Yeah.
overall. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
F14 also from Heatblur has a new pass on the night lighting, which is really cool.
Cool.
They've also done a pass on the Forestal, which is really
Mm.
cool.
That's
I've
great.
not even tried the Forestal yet. I've not once
Mm.
loaded that up. I need to do that and
Yeah.
live out my Top Gun fantasies.
Yeah. Old Zippo, wasn't it? It was called Zippo because it kept catching fire, or the Firestall, whatever it was called. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Some fixies for the Viggen. We got some fixies for the Jeff. Mirage F1 by Aegis. They're doing
Yeah.
the work every day. Always seeing patches to this.
Has there ever been? Has there ever been a patch where the edges haven't updated the Mirage or the C101? I know it's
Or
Avio, but
both. It's
those
usually
two,
both.
yeah, they do work. They
They do.
absolutely do work, don't they?
These
Yeah, yeah.
these peeps are at it.
Mm,
And then of course we had a fairly decent update to Cold War Germany by Ugra. This is really nice. That was such a solid release as well. Like
yeah.
the Cold War Germany map was really good right
Mm,
from the off.
mm.
Yeah, us and Venom were flying it just, what was that, last week or the week before? I don't remember now.
Week before, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it just looks great. So it's good.
It
It's
does.
only getting better, and they've reduced the amount of RAM and VRAM that it uses, which is
We
nice.
were talking about we were flying at night, weren't we? Or like twilight, and we were
Yeah.
saying that the night lighting looks really good on that server. Also, we were seeing individual like traffic lights which were cycling and stuff. So there's an actual almost like whether they're all linked up as an actual traffic system, but we could see like freaking traffic lights changing color and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, I was
what?
calling that out because I was CPG in the front of your Apache, and I think we
Yeah.
were following a road, and I just
Mm,
looked over and it was like, what's that? What's that
yeah.
colored light? And I eventually
Yeah.
figured out it was traffic lights on the road, which is
We were
crazy.
we were moving around in the free camera, and you go into like a factory, and there's like individual lathes in the factory. You're like, oh my god.
And when we crashed, we ended up in somebody's garden next to a glass house which had
Yeah,
tomatoes in it,
yeah,
and
that's
it was
so
all
pretty.
highly detailed. It was crazy,
Yeah,
and it ran great.
yeah,
Yeah, it ran really, really good.
yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, and then we had the hotfix where they fixed the CPU doodad.
Yeah.
They're also the short stutters and freezes that happen after joining a mission or server in some cases are now fixed. And then a crash related to EPLRS. EPL, yeah, that's right. Anything else exciting? Some fixes for the Quag,
Hmm.
some fixes for track replays, and the multiplayer scoreboard not updating. So pretty much the things that they called out
Yeah.
in the newsletter, those are all fixed.
Mm.
Tog, speaking of the Jeff, didn't one of those get shot down recently? No, other way round. A Jeff shot down a Rafale, which is
Yeah.
bloody insane, if you ask me. I would not have expected that outcome. So I think
Mm.
this is me having skimmed an article. I believe it was a Pakistani JF-17 shot down an Indian Rafale, and
Wow.
I can imagine Shares and Dassault taking a nosedive because that should not
Mm.
happen. A Jeff should
No.
not be shooting down a Rafale. So somebody screwed up, I think.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. I picture someone going, "It's the man in the box." To quote Top Gun Maverick.
It's the man, not the machine.
It's the man and not the machine. That's why. Yeah, yeah. No.
For some reason, I'm channeling like Team America. I don't know.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm. Yeah, exactly that. South Park, Team America. God damn it! You just shut down by Jeff. Do you know who Jeff is? That guy. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
actually, Fair says it was with a PL-15 as well, which is basically a cheap Sidewinder.
Crikey.
Holy, right, okay. I
Yeah.
am surprised.
Yeah.
It's not the plane, it's the pilot,
Pilot. Yeah,
says
yeah.
Venom. Yep, indeed. Anyway, yes, some nice fixies. Nibbler says it's the rocket. Okay, yes, technically yes. Well done.
Basically shot down by a sidewinder from Temu.
Yeah. I was actually sorry. This is totally unrelated, but I was messing around with ChatGPT the other day, and I asked
Alright.
it who killed JFK,
Oh,
and
no.
it did like a big analysis and gave me a whole load of stuff, different theories, and I
Yeah.
replied, I think it was the bullet,
Yeah.
just to see what the AI would say. I don't
Did
even
it just
remember.
disconnect from you?
Just like,
Yeah.
exploded.
Amazing.
Anyway, next one I saw was Stormbirds.blog. They had an article. We already covered this like 2 weeks ago, but I thought
Mhm.
it was nice that this was picked up by Stormbirds as well. The new DCS World SU22 M4 mod. This video attracts community attention, and we're part of the community. We were attracted to it.
Hmm.
So I thought this was good. Always check out stormbirds.blog. They've got lots of really, really good content if you're interested in following what's going on in the world of DCS. Obviously, we're best, but Stormbirds is a very close second. They're really, really good.
The next Stormbirds article is going to be like our deep expose on Deep Hack. And the deep dive on Deep Hack.
Deep Hack the expletive is the headline. Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing. Oh, wait. Okay, right. Sorry. Fair is correcting me. I thought it was a PL5. He's saying, no.
Oh,
PL15, it's like a AIM 260 Chinese for bloody hell. Okay, so
Mm.
those are like, for anyone who doesn't know, the AIM 260s are like miniature AMRAAMs that the US Air Force is just testing right now. So apparently
Yeah.
China has something similar. Okay, that makes a lot more sense if it had some kind of really advanced weaponry. Because, although I'm saying that, is it the SD10 that it normally carries? The SD10 is decent. It's not quite. Well, okay, I'm basing this on DCS, so it's probably
Yeah.
not accurate. I was going to say it's not quite as good as an AMRAAM, but it's good. But then we don't actually know, do we?
We have no idea. No. We have a baseline rough understanding through a computer game.
Yeah. Tog,
Yeah.
this is concerning for the future of a certain island nation just off the coast of a certain mainland country. Yeah. This is actually This is a good point. This is a very general point. We should not discount Chinese military hardware because it is very, very good.
Mm,
So not to be sniffed at. Even something like the JF-17, which is absolutely designed to be a low-cost, cheap fighter that they can build a lot of, it's
mm.
still very capable. And the fact,
Isn't there some F20 Tiger Shark
yes,
DNA in that? Isn't there?
there
Yeah.
is. There is. The
Mm,
project was actually originally a collaboration with the US
mm,
before the US decided they don't like China anymore.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, the JF-17 is very, very impressive, but it is designed to be kind of simple, low cost. So the fact that one of those shot down a Rafale is kind of mind blowing to me. But yeah, makes
Yeah.
a bit more sense now that it had crazy advanced weapons.
Yeah.
Was there an actual module announced for that at one point? Kind of. I don't think it was the SU-22, but there was this comes from like a series of aircraft, and I think Razbam
Mm,
was making one of them because it starts like
mm,
SU-17, SU-22, SU-24, basically all kind
mm,
of the same thing, but a development of. And
yeah.
Razbam was doing one of them, and I don't remember which one. I think it was the 24 actually, the
Mm.
SU-24.
I can't remember. I just know there was someone who posted some like early renders. It was either Razbam or it might have been Red Star Simulations, the guys making the MiG 17, or one of those other developers. I think was going to do an SU-17/22. But yeah, if it could have also be Razbam. Razbam love posting a render up and saying that they're developing it. So
Every
yeah,
aircraft that Ron has ever thought of is
yeah,
a module by Razbam.
yeah, potentially, yeah, yeah.
um, okay, and lastly, I actually got this one from your very good self, Mr. Bluer.
Oh yeah.
We got this image off of Facebook.
Ugh.
This is
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And this is
yeah.
the C-130. This is the first time we've seen images of the cockpit in some time. So it's
Mm.
nice to see this. It looks pretty cool. And this was via, oh, you told me and I forgot.
It's Baltic Dragon. Yeah, yeah.
Baltic
He's
Dragon.
working on some stuff fiddling around, and so yeah, we haven't seen, like I said, much of the C-130 cockpit.
Hmm.
So there's a little sneak peek. Looks like we've got a CDU and various
Yeah.
little
This looks
quadrants and stuff.
pretty much exactly like a Boeing CDU, even down to
Mm.
like the names that it has for the pages that we can see in this image at least.
Yeah,
This is basically this is basically a Boeing
yeah.
CDU. But that's cool. This is really cool to see. And yeah, I love stuff like this. I'm very much into my avionics. So the fact that
Mm.
they're kind of doing a deep simulation of the flight management system, that makes me happy because I'm into that
This
kind
could
of thing.
definitely, I've said this before and I'll say it again, the C-130 could definitely tease in some MSFS explain kind of people into DCS for sure, who
Mm,
just want to sort of, stick it in autopilot and chill for 4 or 5 hours, delivering, you know, logistics and stuff. So yeah, no, it's got some cool potential, I think.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
Venom cinematic. That looks like the thing in the Chinook. Well, similar, but
Yeah.
this is actually far closer to the kind of thing you'd see in an airliner. Whereas the one
Yeah.
in the Chinook is much more looks like a military style flight management system. This actually totally looks like an airliner component.
Yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. So that's actually basically everything that we have for this week. So that leaves me to, as I often do, pimp the VAF. And sadly, that means that John will disappear for a moment while I do that. But don't worry, he's going to be
Oh.
coming back, and then he'll tell us all about his escapades and things that he'll be
Mm.
doing on his channel. I'll let John do his little channel update after. So anyway, let's jump into it. The VAF, or the Virtual Air Force, is a virtual online squadron originally started by myself and Dot Chuckles many moons ago. We fly on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, usually around about 8 p.m. UK time, and we currently have squadrons for the Harrier, F-16, and F-18. We're always looking for more pilots, mission makers, air traffic controllers, scripters, livery makers, all kinds of people. So check the show notes below for a link to our Discord, and come join us, whether you fly with us or not. Everybody is very, very much welcome. That's the VAF. the virtual Air Force. Alrighty, let's bring back John. If I can click the right buttons. There we go. Hello, welcome, John.
Hello, I'm back.
And you've been, I'm pointing the wrong way. You've been John Bluer. Go to twitch.tv/John Bluer and click the appropriate buttons. And John, I wonder if you can tell us all about what's going on with you these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So, been a little bit quiet on the Twitch side of things. Haven't been streaming a lot lately, just because I've just had other stuff on. The only sort of free time, generally speaking, I have weekends. I wouldn't describe it as a burnout with DCS, but it's more, to quote Ross and Rachel from Friends, we're on a break. We were on a break, and it's just what's the old term? Absence makes the heart grow fonder a little bit. So I think I've always said to people, if you start feeling with any game, not just DCS, if this is something you play a lot, taking a break is not only healthy, as in you get to have a break from it and you get to move on to other things. It does actually mean when you come back to it, you enjoy it a lot more. So I think it's a good idea to do that. I was flirting with doing some stuff like, it's not quite there yet though, because I was like, I'm gonna dip my toes back into it. So there's Gonna Heat PC, which I really like, and that's looking really awesome. And but it's just not quite there yet. It's still a way away. They're adding cool stuff in, like West German units like the Marder and the Leopard 1.
I was just about to say, did you see that we got the Marder? Oh,
the 20 mil on that is Burt. It literally is it's like the fire rate of an MG42, and it's a 20 millimeter, and it's wild. But it has no the worst thing is it has no stabilizer, so you just you have to kind of stop and then kind of lead it. There's no laser rangefinder.
You just tickle the trigger, and then whatever you were aiming at is gone.
Yeah, just and it goes. And then the Leopard 1 is a lot of fun, but it has like a coincidence rangefinder, which is actually kind of cool, actually, because the way you're in range is you kind of get the target area roughly in in focus. Yeah. It's really cool. But it has like no armor, so anything fires heat fin stabilized at you, you're just or even fast. Anything.
On the upside, the Leopard 1 is quick.
Yeah, there's a guy I've been watching. There's a guy I've been watching on YouTube, by the way. It's a little shout out to someone. He's called Zagstruck, and he's an ex M1 Abrams tank commander. Ooh. And he basically plays. He's on YouTube, and he plays Gonna Heat PC, and what he's basically doing is he kind of goes, that's not quite right, we wouldn't do it that way, or this isn't quite simulated correct, and all that kind of stuff. But what he also does is he kind of plays Gonna Heat PC, with relatively similar tactics to what you would do in real life. And he's always talking about shooting and scooting and stuff. And so he's been doing in the Leopard 1. And it's very much like you don't also have much space in your ready rack as well. So you're having to you've got like 3 or 4 rounds at most.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
So you have to shoot, and then every time you're on your downtime, you've got to quickly get stuff up from the ready rack. But it's cool. Gonna Heat PC has so much potential. I often use it as a reference point for combined arms with DCS. I'm like, that's what combined arms should be. Yep. Like if I was ED, I would be banging on their door, going, make this a third party ground module. Basically, make ground stuff. That's what I would be doing. I'd be banging on their doors, because they're very talented guys. They obviously care a lot. It's based in Folder Gap as well, which is really cool. So we've just got all the Cold War stuff, and they've just done a really, really cool job of it. But it's just not quite there yet. It's still early access. It still feels a bit like you kind of jump in the game. It's really good. You play it for about an hour or two, and then you're like, okay, I'm done, kind of stuff. Like you kind of got everything out of it. I think once they add more features, the big one would be, I think they talked about adding co-op as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be multi-crewing a tank, but it would be like you'd be working in like a platoon and stuff. That would be really cool. It's a cool game. So there's that I was flirting with. There's some other cool stuff that's come out recently. Some people, because I always try to at least relate it to military simulation. There's things like Ground Branch and this Grey Zone Warfare, not quite Milsim, but there's some cool stuff. But I just haven't really found anything that's kind of clicked with me. So what I will be doing though is I've got I can't really give an ETA. I'm going to try and get us back on some DCS streams, even if it's just a quick potter around, blowing some stuff up. But just to touch base with people. But I will be having some illustration stuff coming up soon. I've got a project that I can't talk about right now. It's very cool. It's all I can say is it's another game within the genre, and I may be doing some designs, merchandise, or something along those lines for someone. So I can't say who it is. I can't say what the project is yet, but it's something coming up soon. So yeah, and I'll be hopefully streaming the process of me illustrating that stuff. So when I can announce it, I will announce it. But it's very interesting. It's very cool, very promising,
Mm,
and that's my big thing coming up. So yeah,
very nice. And we've both been doing a little bit of flying with Venom, and so
yes,
who knows?
yeah.
Maybe you'll see some of that at some stage.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So we've done some. I did a video with Venom a little while back. If you guys haven't checked out Venom, he's in chat right now. He does these
Mhm.
fantastic DCS sort of cinematic videos. I say cinematic, still gameplay stuff, but he does a really good job of his editing and things. Definitely follow Venom, who's in chat. And I did a little mission with him a little while back, which was him in a Kiowa and me and Apache and blowing stuff up. But we've been flying with Venom, so there may be something in the future involving the three of us.
Mhm.
An Englishman, a Scotsman, and a American. Is Venom American? Or is he Canadian? Walk into a bar. Walk into a Folder Gap bar.
Sounds like the start of a joke.
Yeah, it does indeed.
Nice. Alrighty.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm Deepak. Remember, subscribe, like, and comment. My usual big shout out. If you want to further support the channel, you can click the join link below to join Deepak's ground crew. I really appreciate those of you who do so. Big shout out to everybody who already has done. Thank you very much, Channel Right, JR Walker, Simon, who I think is Mr. Yeti, but for some reason you show up as Simon now. Sean I'm81, John Bluer, Tea Kettle Barbecue, Whiskey Dale, Stuart McLean, Mangash, Exorcist, Frantic, Willow Wilson, Byron Farrow, Osprey, Snublaran, Laskin75, Interesting Story, Whoopaz, Pink Floyd, Samantha, and Alice. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support. And yeah, I've been Deepak. Every Saturday at about 6:30 p.m. UK time, I release a new tutorial video. Currently doing a series on the Apache, although that's very quickly coming to an end. There's not much more to cover on the Apache. And next, I'll be doing the A10C. So yeah, those are coming out, like I say, about 6:30 p.m. UK time every Saturday, and that's then followed by the DCS news, which just happens to be this thing, what you're watching right now. Thank you all very much for watching. Fly safe, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta!